Yo, what is good, everybody? Welcome to the Scent Bubble. It is 8 p.m. at night, and we are going to review an awesome fragrance. Heard a lot of good stuff about it, so I'm just going to assume the best about it. Let's go ahead and mute the phone so we can have a successful episode. And I'm excited to talk about this fragrance. Again, you guys already know my favorite from the line, and we'll elaborate in a moment. But this fragrance is considered by many to be the most pristine, luxurious, freshy, or blue fragrance out there. So I'm going to let you guys think about it for a moment while I run that intro on what it might be. Again, for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the afternoon. And listen, man, the fragrance that I wanted you to consider to see if you could guess it correctly or not is Bleu De Chanel. And I'm not reviewing Bleu De Chanel today, but we are reviewing what most people consider to be the closest alternative to Bleu De Chanel, closest budget alternative, I'll say, to the fragrance. Some have even said that this fragrance outperforms Bleu De Chanel. People say it's very close, but not extremely one-to-one, but more almost one-to-one. And in its nuance of scent profile, it is unique in and of itself and doesn't detour away from capturing the DNA. So the fragrance we were talking about is from the house of Armaf, and it is Club de Nuit Iconic. Again, this isn't an unboxing channel, so I'm not about to tell you how the box and packaging is. I think that's the lamest thing ever. You know, who the heck cares about the packaging? You know, you're not collecting, cards or Funko Pops or something like that. You're throwing the box away, so who cares? This is the bottle, 100 ml. I got this for an absolute steal. I want to say 20 bucks. This fragrance generally goes for like 25, 30 before or after shipping. But if you pay attention to sites like TikTok and Fragrance Buy, there are times where that thing just shoots down to about 20 bucks. Sometimes you can slide in free shipping, call it a day. That's what happened to me. So let's get initial thoughts on this fragrance. People say this is a clone of Bleu De Chanel with a slight twist. I'm going to put it on skin as well. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not a Bleu De Chanel fan. I don't get the hype. You know, that kind of blue shower gel, fresh citrus, crazy citrusy medley, airy, showery scent. I'm going to be honest, like, this is how weird I am. I'll go to the store, like a Sephora or a fragrance boutique or whatever, and I will repeatedly, like I find myself doing this like at least once a month. I'll go in there and I'll look for Bleu De Chanel and I'll look for Dior Sauvage. Because I hate those two fragrances. I don't think that they are gross smelling, but I hate the contrast of how bland those smell to me versus how many people it's their go-to fragrance. For many young people, even older guys, it's ageless. There's many people in this world who have less than two fragrances. But for that crowd, Bleu De Chanel and Dior Sauvage seem to be rank one in that list of most people's collection. And I just never understood the Dior Sauvage DNA. I mean, it's uninteresting to me. And like, I almost feel like I'm tripping because like I'll go in there and I'll smell Bleu De Chanel again, eau de parfum, toilette, whatever. I've smelled all of them, all the different variations of it. And I don't like Dior. I think it's really not it for me. There's no flair to it. There's no charm for me. It's the blend. Like, I just find the blend to be very dull. And the only thing you really get from that in Bleu De Chanel is like high quality ingredients. Now, Bleu De Chanel, I will say, is a good smelling fragrance. But to me, on my nose, it's like, to me, it smells like whatever your favorite blue shower gel is, Bleu De Chanel is like 2 times better than that. So the ingredients smell fresher. The citruses smell more citrusy and expensive. It's got this airy quality to it. It's kind of got this shower luxury. It's almost as if you were at a spa and you took a shower at a resort in like a 5-star resort spa, this is the shower gel that they would use. And that's what Bleu de Chanel smells like for me. It's got such a crazy melody. I'm just taking a peek here on Fragrantica. This medley is so crazy. I'm going to try to describe the keynotes that I smell on Iconic, because who cares what Bleu de Chanel smells like? We want to know what Iconic smells like and if you guys should consider this fragrance. For most people who, when you look at most of the YouTube channels, like 90% of the YouTube channels say this is the best alternative to Bleu de Chanel on a budget. There's a couple other options out there, but this is the one that seems to be the most reliable to most people in terms of closest to the DNA, longevity, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now that I've blabbed a whole, 5 minutes about Bleu de Chanel, let's get into this Iconic fragrance. Ba-doom, boom, psh. Okay, so what I smell off rip, I smell a medley of citruses, almost like lemon, lime. It's got some zing to it. Again, though, it kind of smells very much like a citrus medley. There's like a cooling sensation to it. I know with Bleu de Chanel, like I kind of smell like an airy, crisp coldness to that fragrance. Like it's so crisp. With this, I get the same thing. It's like almost like the 5% touch of mint. It's not quite Arctic, like cold and crisp, but it's definitely like crisp and zesty on the citrus end. It definitely smells like a blend of like lemon, limey, grapefruity stuff with a touch of mint up front. I feel like you don't really get into a lot of the base, but I'm going to let this dry down. On skin, it's slightly warmer, slightly ambery more, but same sentiment. Citruses, slight bit of lime, and in skin test, more ambery. We're going to let this sit right here, and we're going to look at the note breakdown, and then I'll explain kind of dry down stuff and all that fun stuff. Okay. Yeah, now that we've got that sorted out, I apologize about that. Let's look at the note breakdown. So this is Bleu de Chanel, and as you can see, this is a gigantic medley. The gist of it seems like citrus, mint up top with some spices or pepper. Middle, we've got that ginger, melon, nutmeg, jasmine. Really, the only thing I really smell is more like ginger. I'm smelling Iconic here to see if it matches Bleu de Chanel. But yeah, Bleu de Chanel, I remember just getting the same thing. If I had to draw notes off of this note sheet, I definitely smelled the grapefruit, lemon, mint, bergamot, ginger, jasmine, amber, cedar, patchouli, amberwood, slight incense, but not really. The gist of it is citrus, ginger, amber, sitting on woods. Crisp, blue out of the shower fragrance, but it's luxurious. So I don't think it's a freshie out of the shower fragrance. It's like a glorified freshie out of the shower fragrance that you could then go out and wear out and about, because it's got a class and a layering of sophistication to it that makes it just rock. Now, this fragrance is no different. I want to say this might be 1-to-1 minus the aldehydes, but this is the breakdown for Iconic, and we can see here that hold on, let me fix something. There we go. My webcam stuff, like my stream sometimes be tripping, but we'll get it together. Top citruses, peppers, mint. It's missing the bergamot, but whatever. It's generally the same top, same mid, and then on the bottom it's basically the exact same. So these fragrances should be extremely close, and I would argue that they are. Now that we're into the dry down, I smell the same thing. This fragrance smells blue. I know I said that before with one of my other fragrances. This fragrance smells exactly how it looks. Blue, aquatic, citruses, mints, ginger, amber, cedar, patchouli, incense, maybe a slight bit of mystery in the backbone. And again, just slightly more warmed up and ambery on the skin. But hey, I can tell just by this fragrance just sitting on my skin and sitting on the test strip. Projection is going to be solid. You're going to have a solid scent bubble. It's going to have a scent trail to it. Not necessarily a room filler, but in terms of beast mode, I'd give it about a 7. This stuff is probably going to sit on skin and be good. I think this might, a lot of people said this would outlast Bleu De Chanel in terms of longevity. So I'm just going to trust their word on it. Fragrantica seems to lean in the same direction. So people who want, this is what I know just off what I smell. If you're a Bleu De Chanel fan and you have Bleu De Chanel, cop this and just wear this instead. Keep your Bleu De Chanel for as long as humanly possible. Only wear Bleu De Chanel when you're actually trying to impress somebody and go on your more serious occasions. But for your everyday use, you should use Iconic. This is an incredible fragrance. Without having Bleu De Chanel in front of me right now, eau de toilette, parfum, etc., I would say this fragrance is probably at least 90% close, if not 95. I get Bleu De Chanel vibes all day. I don't even really smell a twist. I just think it's got a little bit more power to it. I actually think it's even more powerful in terms of projection than Bleu De Chanel. And so for that reason, I think the longevity is more as well. Fragrance, $20-$30. Fragrantica or Fragrance Buy, probably even Amazon. It's in the Club de Nuit line, so pretty much every site will have a deal on it. Start checking out the TikTok shop because I think they're just giving out crazy deals right now. Like another episode I'm going to be doing soon. I got this off non 9 p.m. right here, which I'm not even the biggest fan of JPG, but I copped this fragrance right here because it was $12. So TikTok shop is popping off, and you need to be all up in that mix before they get a sizable enough consumer market on there and start giving less deals. But you guys can tell I love a fragrance. Listen, here's a cheat. Whenever I'm on stream or I'm putting a video online and you guys see me constantly reaching for the fragrance, that means I like it. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of Bleu De Chanel, I can be a fan of Bleu De Chanel for $20. Can you? The only reason, if you, I'm trying to help you guys out here. The only reason I would ever encourage you to buy Bleu De Chanel is if you smelled Bleu De Chanel before and you are dead set that that is the only thing you want to smell when it comes to a blue fragrance. You particularly only want to smell that exact thing that you smelled in the store. If you've never smelled Bleu De Chanel before in your life, never go smell it. Cop this and forget that fragrance ever existed because you won't know the difference even by the time you caught up and smelled it. If you're a Bleu De Chanel fan, but you're budget tight, get this. The incentive to go into this outside of just money is longevity, projection, and scent trail. You get more out of this than with Bleu De Chanel. It might smell a tiny bit better quality when you're sitting there with test strips, oh, this one smells a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more. No, in person, when you're just running the scent trail and you're out in public, no one is going to know that this isn't Bleu De Chanel. Period. Unless it's a perfumer. And in that case, you're not wearing it for the perfumer. This gets an A+ grade. If I was being blind tested, I would say this is the real Bleu De Chanel out of the two because I'm sure this projects and is more beast mode than Bleu De Chanel. But in a nutshell, this is a good ageless fragrance because it's just citruses, amber, and ginger. It's very ageless. I told you the price point. Seasons, I think it's any season, any reason. Probably a summer and spring scent, generally speaking, because it's high on citrus and amber. But I'm sure you can wear it in the wintertime as well. It might make more sense to start sweetening it up a little bit. But if this is all you had, you could easily make it super versatile for your everyday use, I think. Just because, who doesn't like citrus, ginger, and amber? It's inoffensive. The chemistry of it on any weather isn't going to misrepresent this DNA, I feel. It'll smell warmer in the warmer climate and more cold, crisp, true to Bleu De Chanel, Arctic-y, cold type of crisp freshness in the colder climates. And it's sophisticated. So even though for me it's like a glorified freshie, I think if you're limited on fragrances, this could certainly be your go-to, like, classy, fresh male fragrance, date nights or whatever. It is generic if you own a lot of fragrances or if you're familiar with fragrances. It does become somewhat generic if this is the only thing you're grabbing for. But in terms of the freshy category for how cheap this is, this in your freshy collection will probably easily sit in the top 3 or top 5 favorite fragrances that you'll go to. And it's also, because of the note breakdown, the easiest to wear for occasion, season, reason, all that. But anyways, guys, do you have iconic? I know for me, I grabbed Club de Nuit Intense Man, limited edition, milestone, and Sillage before I copped iconic, because there's not a lot of people talking about iconic in terms of people that I trust on the YouTube world. I feel like more videos are starting to be brought to my attention every day about iconic and how much of a sleeper it is for people. But this was the last that I copped in the line. Now I know there's urban and all these other fragrances, but in terms of kind of like the top 3, top 4 most talked about, I grabbed this last, and I somewhat regret it because this one out of, I think this one and the Aventus, Club de Nuit Intense Man, are probably the most universally sought fragrances in terms of Creed Aventus and Bleu De Chanel. And Bleu De Chanel is probably the most purchased fragrance, even over Aventus, because it's cheaper. So I imagine that most people should go after iconic before all 3 of them, because it's copying the most worn fragrance, you know what I'm saying, in the blue category. It's unanimously accepted, loved, revered. But anyway, I've been blabbing enough. If I left out any information from this video because it's late at night, please just let me know in the comments. I have been interacting with everybody who's come across my page, so I'm all about community. I want to know what you guys have, what's in your collection. I'm down to chop. I'm down to make episodes off of content that you guys are interested in. I'm down for whatever. As you guys know, right now I'm reviewing all my fragrances, and we'll continue to keep it rocking. But until next time, I appreciate y'all for rocking in the scent bubble. Y'all have a blessed night. We'll talk soon. Peace.